Marina Ottaway, just in the few minutes we have left, I'd like you to talk about Syria, the very dire situation in Syria, an uprising gone violent, great prospects for change, but we see that Bashar al-Assad has dug in his heels. He says one thing, he does another. We have Arab monitors there deciding whether they should stay or go, even Qatar advocating a military force, an Arab military force. The head of the Arab League even saying this might be an option, Amr Moussa. Where do you think this is going in Syria? And what about, should the U.S. be doing more to try to stem the tide of violence?
Well, I think it's a very difficult situation because, first of all, there is no agreement on the part of people are being slaughtered. We are all watching, people being slaughtered. There is no way in which the United Nations or the Arab League are going to call for an international intervention. In the Security Council, Russia and China are going to vote any decision legalizing authorizing an international intervention. And the Arab League, it's also very hesitant in calling for an international intervention again. Now, even those who are talking for an Arab intervention don't want the international community there. So for the United States cannot go in alone, cannot go in without the cover of a UN resolution but probably also the cover of the Arab League authorization. The Arab League, it's very interesting, it's very significant that they are even talking about an intervention. Whether or not they will do it remains to be seen.
And they can do it without the UN authorization?
I suppose they could. If they decided to they could do it without they could decide that this is an Arab issue and they are going to go in no matter what the UN says. Now, there are a few countries that could do, there are not many countries that have the military capacity for an intervention. It would be crucial for Saudi Arabia to be involved, for Saudi Arabia to go to stick its neck out to that extent. Saudi Arabia moves very, very cautiously.
Well, they did it for Bahrain.
They did it for Bahrain, but Bahrain is almost part of Saudi Arabia.
Exactly.
That was a police action to protect. It would be a very, very big move for the country. It's going to take, in this case, real boots on the ground. In other words, Qatar, that is in favor of an intervention, cannot simply provide arms the way they did in the case of Libya, because there was an organized military force on the part of the rebels in Libya. We don't see that yet in Syria. It may become an option, essentially, to help a Syrian opposition army, the Free Syrian the Free Syrian Army. Might become an option down the line, but right now there is not enough there for the Arab League simply get away by providing weapons, by providing support to a Syrian force. So everybody's in a difficult situation there.
Short of military intervention, Marina Ottaway, do you see any other policy options to resolve the situation in Syria so that the opposition and those who want to, live peacefully there without Assad and, the army cracking down on them, do you see any other options in the offing?
Not really. I think as long as Iran supports Syria, and Iran is going to continue to support Syria, Iran needs Syria more than ever because of the it has no other allies in the Arab world, essentially. So that as long as Iran is willing to continue to support Assad, I think there is not going to be a real change. The only possibility, but I think it's unlikely, is a split among the Alawites, because the regime of the Syrian regime is a minority regime, but very strongly backed by the Alawites, who are afraid that if the regime goes, it's at the end, all Alawites are going to suffer consequences. The question is there part of the military, the officer corps in the military, which is strongly Alawites, that will decide that there is a hope for the future if they turn against Assad, and they can work out something with the opposition. There is no indication that this is happening so far. It may happen, but there is no clear indication of that.